Hi, this is Dr. Second Chance. I'm a licensed physician, a recovery coach, and a person with 13 years of sobriety from alcohol use disorder and substance use disorder. I'm going to talk about relapse today. Relapse is the idea of you had an addiction and you're using a substance or alcohol or a behavior, and that you stop for a while and then you restart it. Now, some people divide this up a little bit in terms of calling it different things. Some people will say, well, if you just were stressed and you had one drink, it could be counted as a slip rather than a relapse, whereas a true relapse is really a gradual process where you've effectively have failed to use or abandoned all your techniques for staying in recovery. It often occurs over 2 to 3 weeks, even longer, before the actual physical use or acting out. So, what happens is it starts with something called emotional relapse, where you're not dealing with your feelings well, you're not engaged in very good self-care, and you may be isolating, you may be irritable, you may be cranky, and what happens is that you're not actually thinking about using at this point. This is you're just feeling emotionally off and uncomfortable in your own skin, and the way that you intervene at this point is just going back to good self-care. Continue to use your support people, going to meetings, calling your therapist, seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, calling a sponsor, exercising, getting good sleep, eating proper meals. You do those sorts of things, and that often gets you back on the right track. But if this type of problem or advancement doesn't help, then, because what happens in emotional relapse too is that you stop talking about how you're feeling. You might just talk to other people about other people, but not actually yourself and how you're doing. And you've gone through a time where you've chosen, you just aren't asking for help. But again, you have not started thinking about actively using. Then you move on to something called mental relapse. And this has now become a time you feel lousy, you feel crappy, and you are beginning to have a war in your mind. The war is things like, I don't want to use, I do want to use, it'll make me feel better, but I don't want to use because I know the consequences. And this will lead an addict to begin to sort of feel really crazy. And the thinking begins to occur of using again. And at first you can handle the thoughts easy, but after a while it gets more profoundly difficult, and you're thinking of ways you can actually begin to use again. You might start thinking of things like seeing old friends that used, minimizing past consequences that happen. You begin to think and romanticize, which also means thinking really pleasant thoughts about the people, places, and things where you used before. And basically, you begin to actually start planning your relapse without getting caught. This may be done somewhat subconsciously, in the sense of you start thinking of, I want to go visit an old friend that I know uses, and you rationalize really why you want to be there, but you go, and you begin to really set yourself up for actually physically using again. And then the physical relapse is actually getting the drug or the booze and doing it. And so those are the kinds of phases you go through with relapse. The Most people think of relapse prevention as techniques to like say no to a drug or alcohol at the very last minute, as like a very last stance kind of thing. And that's part of it, but it's not the most important part. The most important part is that you keep your emotional and mental health in check, doing all the things that we're taught and we know to do in recovery, so that you don't slide down that decline of sort of an emotional relapse, a mental relapse, than the actual physical doing it, so to speak. And so, yeah, so if you're feeling like you're in the emotional relapse part, talk to somebody, find someone to encourage you, start doing some things to take care of yourself. I really encourage that. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell icon. Support my channel. Thank you. I'm going to continue to produce some videos. I hope you're enjoying them. I'm just a guy that have gone through the same struggles as every one of you that have dealt with addiction issues. We'll see you the next time.